Okie dokie, we are here, but you can't see me at the minute because I got to click that. There we go. We're here, guys. We are here, and we're here for another live Q&A. So, who we got in the house? Where you're from? What time is it? Wherever you are. And while you're typing that in, I can close down this. What's over here? And I've had an absolute computer nightmare. About 10 minutes ago, the computer just crashed and went nuts. So 4 minutes, I'm 4 minutes late, guys, which is not bad seeing as what just happened to my computer, I can tell you. Right, we are all here. I believe you can hear me. I'm just double checking everything. Okie dokie, here we go. Right, so who we got in the house? We have got Gilbert from Havana. We've got David Russell from Loch Lomond. What a beautiful part of the world that is. Luke Ragg from Norfolk. Albert from Florida in the USA. Hello, Albert. Welcome to the group. We've got Tim from Birmingham, Alabama, not Birmingham, England. So hello to Tim from the USA again. Klaus from Germany. Jeff from Durham. Sally from Benfleet in Essex. That's down the road from us. And yeah, loads of other people. Paul from Sawsbridgeworth. John from Kent. Mick from, doesn't say, I know that is because I've got his name on one of these questions. He's from Newcastle. And Paul, we've got Mick, another one from Kent, and a few other people there. So yeah, welcome to the group, guys. How is things? We're all coming out of lockdown and everyone's going back to work, and hopefully people are getting a bit normal. I went down the pub on Saturday and I was in bed for the whole of Sunday. So things were getting back to normal there. But anyway, here we go. We are back, and we've got people from France there. Christiana from France. Magda from South Africa. Oh, wow. Terige, I think that is, from Norway. Claire from Somerset. Right, okay, loads of people in the house. Right, well done. Thanks for joining me. Let's get straight to it, shall we? These are Q&A sessions talking about photography. And I started them because of the lockdown, and hopefully they will continue anyway. So we're just going to have a little chat about photography. I'm going to answer your questions. You can also put questions in the comments here. Just remember that I think I'm about 30 seconds behind when I see something, all right? But by all means, add some questions in there and I will try and get round to them at the end. All right, here we go. The first one is from Birdie Hovis. Oh, what a name that is. She is from Pennsylvania. Ooh. Right, it says this. If you are going to invest in something good, would you first invest in the actual camera or in the lenses for the camera? I only ask because I have a Canon Rebel T6. Before I carry on with this, I think this is an American model, the Rebel T6. I think it's the same as like the 4000D in the UK. If someone can give me that equivalent in the comments, that would help me out. I'm 30 seconds behind, so I'll get it in 30 seconds time. Yeah, so she's got the Canon Rebel T6 and it takes pretty good photos. I'm wanting to buy a lens that's over $1,000. Well, Birdie, you've done well this month. $1,000 for a lens. Whew. But I don't know whether that's putting the cart before the horse. And I really don't know much about cameras and what's good and what's average. Right, Birdie. Definitely, if you've only got a certain amount of money and it's between a lens and a camera body, then it's definitely the camera lens that you should go for. For $1,000, you should get yourself a pretty good lens, in my opinion. The Canon Rebel T6, like I said, no one's put anything in there yet. I think that's like an entry-level Canon camera, right? But trust me, it doesn't matter. The chip inside that camera is going to be the same or extremely similar to an equivalent camera, a Canon camera that's expensive, all right? The lens, however, is going to do most of the work for you there. So definitely 100%. Les has come in here. The 1300D, yeah. So yeah, it is an entry-level Canon camera, but I've taken some absolute brilliant shots. I've actually got the 1200D, which is the one below your one there. I've taken some great photos of it. I actually did a video on my YouTube channel where I put the Canon 1200D, your camera for argument's sake, against the 5D Mark IV with a big lens on it, and it was about £150 versus £3,800, and we'd done a shoot with both cameras. The results are extremely similar, okay? So yeah, Birdie, I hope that's helped you out and hope it's saved you a bit of money. Although you sound like you've got a few quid anyway if you've got £1,000 there to spend on a lens, so good luck to you. The next question, okay, I'm just seeing if anyone's coming back on the questions there. The next question is from Mick Sullivan. It says, hi, and he's from Newcastle upon Tyne. Hi Mark, hope you are well and can advise me. Is it okay to stack a 10 stop and a 6 stop together? And if so, would it cause any issues with the image, or is it better to buy a standalone 15 stop grad? I don't think you mean grad, I think you mean 15 stop filter. but they are expensive. But I own a 10 stop and a 6 stop, and I was wondering if I could put them together and save some money, right? So I've got some here for people that don't know what we're talking about. I'm going to show you what Mick actually means, right? Just give me a minute. So here is, what one's that? So that's the 10 stop, okay? That's what they look like, and it's a 10 stop ND filter, and basically it stops the light. So it stops the light coming into the camera, which enables you to open the shutter for longer and get long exposure effects. So that's the 10 stop, and then you have got the 6 stop, I believe, which is this one here, all right? So there's the 6 stop, there's 6 stop and the 10 stop. Now for argument's sake, you look at them and they look exactly the same, but one of them is stopping 4 more stops of light. So Mick's question is, can he put these two together, okay, slot them into his camera, and then effectively you'll have a 16 stop ND filter. Okay, now the answer, the simple answer to that is that would happen, all right? You'd have a 10 stop in front of a 6 stop, and you're going to have a 16 stop effectively ND filter. Now I wouldn't recommend it though, because you may get light travel in between them. So when you get a filter holder system, there's a gap between them as you slot them in. I haven't got the holder here, but that's pretty much, you know, you get the point I mean. When they slot in, that's what they look like. So you do get a gap in there. Possibly some light could get in, you know, possibly. It'd probably be very rare. And it just wouldn't be the way that I would do it, all right? I've never actually tried it. I would, if you could, get the 15 stop and not put these two together. So the simple answer to your question is, it would work like you say it would work, but I don't think it would work that well, if I'm going to be honest with you. Yeah, give it a go and let me know, because I would really be interested. The other thing I was going to say to you though, Mick, was why don't you just use the 10 stop? Because it doesn't say here why you want the 15 stop, but you can use the 10 stop and stop it right the way down to f22. That's normally what lenses go to, f22, and you can even drop the ISO down to 50, depending on what camera. Most cameras, they go to 50 ISO. It's like an extension, so you're going to get some extra stops there anyway. And yeah, I would try and do it. But I've done loads of long. So if you follow the School of Photography and my personal work, you know that I do loads of long exposures. Never once have I used a 15 stop. I've never felt the need to. That's why. And that's it. I'm just going to put these down before I drop them and break them, because they're a lot of money and I don't want to do that. So I'm going to put these back in my little case here, and I'll be back to you in a second. So Mick, I hope that's answered your question. If anyone else on this group has put a 10 and a 16 stop filter together, I would be interested myself to see what happened. Put it in the comments here. Micro 4/3 not following, I don't know, I've missed that. So I missed some of these comments. They flick up to the top. Does it matter how many? Right, I'll come back to these questions a bit later on. There's a few questions in there. Right, here we go. Next question. So I hope that answered your question, Mick. All right. If you've got the money, buy the 15 stop. If not, use the 10. Make do with the 10. Worth giving it a go, I suppose, stacking them together, but I wouldn't. Anyway, John Hadley is the next one, and he is from Birmingham, right? And John says, I'm going to have a drop a drink. No, he doesn't say that. John says, hi all, here's one you might not like. You know something good is coming now. Why is everybody obsessed by software? Lightroom, Photoshop, Luminar. I went to the NEC photography show in 2019. All these stunning photos were on the wall. When I asked them if they cheated, that's in capitals. Cheated, capital letters, cheated. And used one of the free editing features available, they all said yes. I don't think they like that question. Anyway, I said, why don't you just use your camera to see how really good you are? Mark, I've heard so many people say when they're out on location things like, I'll finish it off in post or Lightroom or Photoshop. I just wonder how good they really are without these tools. Many thanks, John Hadley. Stay safe. John, just as you've said this question with here's one you might not like, here's an answer that you might not like, as a matter of fact. Right? Get this. Oh, Christ, that's heavy. Anyone know who this guy is? Right? If you don't know who this guy is and you're new to photography and you like landscapes, this is a guy that you need to look up. Ansel Adams. He is probably one of the most well-known landscape photographers in the world. If you heard of him, let me know in the comments, right? Because most people who have been into photography a few years or more, they will know who this guy is, right? I'm going to just look at the size of this book. This costs a fortune, this book, right? Just look at it. I'm going to open it up at a page. Oh, hang on. I'm going to open it up at a page and then show you a shot. Okie dokie. Shots like this will do. Oh, Christ almighty. I could have picked a shorter book. All right, there you go. All right, black and white landscape photography. Absolutely stunning. I'll see if I can get one more. There's loads. There's just loads. I don't know what to... Wow. Oh, wow, look at this one. Look at this one. Ta-da. Okay. Ansel Adams. I'll tell you what. Is John Hadley in the house? If you are, put your name there. Oh, I'm not having a go at you. You know, show yourself. I just want to explain things, okay? Because if you are in the house, I would love to know if you've heard of this guy, Ansel Adams, right? So, Ansel Adams photographing, you know, I don't know, like from the 1930s, 40s type time. Big negatives, all hand printed stuff. Every single print post-processed. Okay, so let's break this down. Post-processing, which is what people commonly think is Photoshop and Lightroom. Post-processing is what you do to a picture after you have taken it. Okay, so you take a picture and you get that raw data. That's what you used to do with a negative. You get that raw data, if you like, and then you print it. Okay, now the post-production comes down to this. First of all, the type of paper that you printed on. Okay. Secondly, you would spot out the negative to get rid of all of the little dots. You could burn in the sky to make it look really deep and rich. I won't look through I'll be here forever looking through that example. But you look at Ansel Adams' prints, they would be burnt in the sky to really bring out the clouds. They would have been dodged in the foreground to lighten up the foreground. Okay, they could well have been masked off, so you can mask off and you can print one half lighter than the other half, etc. Okay, now all of that, what I've just told you, burning, dodging, masking, whatever, you do that in Photoshop now. Okay, now the point I'm making is it's always been done. You can't take a shot and just go, there it is, that's a fan, ding. Don't work like that, because even with negatives you had to print them, and when you printed them, when I used to work in a colour darkroom, I would saturate the blues, you know, or bring out the yellows, etc, etc. That is all post-processing techniques. All right, now John, if you're not doing it, if with this sort of question, when you're saying things like cheated, that's a really naive way to look at this subject matter, okay? Because what you're saying there is, why you say cheated is because you feel like that you don't want to cheat. Well, it's never been cheated. It's never ever been cheating. It's always been done. And it's done because you can't take these lovely, crisp, vibrant shots without that little bit of post-processing. Now, there are arguments if you replace the sky or, you know, and add a rock into the foreground that weren't there in the first place and blah, blah, blah. I mean, that's a different ballgame, that. But the fact that you have to post-process imagery is a fact, okay? And I'm telling you this now, John, your photography will never be as good as someone else's photography that is using Lightroom, all right? It is as plain and simple as that. And like I said, you might not like that answer. Other people might not like that answer neither. I wonder, I'll just go have a look. Just give me 30 seconds. I want to see I want to see what people's reactions are to what I just said there. Oh yeah, so Andy King here. Andy King, remember the fairies in the garden from the 30s? That was done without Photoshop. Andy, I think it was earlier than the 30s actually, and what you're talking about is a story called the Cotlington Fairies, where the two kids went into their dad's darkroom and they added fairies into pictures, which so it was like they were making a composite but in the darkroom, and the papers believed it. Yeah, so that was done. I thought it was the Victorian. I thought it was in the Victorian ages, not the 1930s. I might be wrong there, but yeah. Anyway, there you go. There you go, John. You know, embrace it, man. You've got to embrace it. It is not cheating. Okay, here we go. Now, the next, the spot on. Yep, Gary's here. Spot on. It says 1917. Just check. Okay, 1917. Yeah. All right then. There you go. Thanks for that, actually. I appreciate it. Here we go. This next one is from Harinder Mangate. I think that is Manjat from Birmingham. I have created my signature in Photoshop. I've saved it as a PNG file in a folder in the Creative Cloud. However, when I try to export the image in Lightroom with the watermark option ticked, I cannot see the signature file. Only the text files that I've created. So how can I access the signature file? Right, really hard to answer some of this because I'm not sitting in front of your computer. And do you know what? I had it all set out for you, Harinder. I was going to show you in Lightroom, but my computer just went absolutely nuts about 10 minutes before I was going to go live. I didn't even know I was going to get here, right? But so I don't think I don't want to risk it. I've got Lightroom up and I've got some pictures, but I was going to go and anyway. I'm going to answer what I think is going on, okay? And I'm sorry that I can't demonstrate it to you because my computer just went mad. Right, you have to go into Edit Watermarks, okay? I might be able to show you where that is, and this is a risk, man. This is a risk. So here we go. We're in Lightroom, okay? So there is this here under Edit Watermarks, okay? I'm not going to click anything. I'm absolutely too scared to click anything. You go into there and you have to make sure that you save, and this is the thing, all right? So once you go into Edit Watermarks, one of the common mistakes that people make is, I'm going to come back to at camera, you make the watermark in Edit Watermark. So you go into Edit, you make the watermark, and then you don't actually save it, okay? And there's a little box at the top. You click on it, and because you can click done. This is Lightroom for you, right? It does some silly things. When you've edited a watermark, there's a little button and it says done or complete or something like that. I don't know what it says. I think it says, you can click that and you think to yourself, there you go, I've done it, right? But you haven't done it. You need to go up to the top drop down, and there's a little, you click the drop down arrow, it comes down and it says save as a new watermark preset or something along that. Save as a new watermark or new something. Click on that, name it, save it, and then when you go to export, that's when you tag it then you can see it then. I'm sort of guessing here. I know it's a common thing, you see, because I teach people a lot and I see the same things happen. Hopefully that's what's happening to you, all right? And for anyone else that don't do that in Lightroom, it is a blinding little feature. You can export 10, 20, 30, 50 pictures at once with your lovely little signature logo down the bottom, okay? And you can make them low res, high res and whatever. So yeah, hope that's answered your questions. Hope it didn't bore anyone else, because I like to actually show you, don't I? But anyway, there you go. Loads of questions coming in. A few from what I just said a minute ago there. Yeah, words. I've had the discussion. Mick's saying he's had the discussion with people too about Lightroom, and it's just a modern day darkroom. Of course, that's exactly it. You know, it's in the name, isn't it? Lightroom. It's the modern day darkroom. But yeah, so the guy that asked the question is either not in the house or he's not saying anything. One of the two. But anyway, it's not. I'm not having a go at that guy one little bit, to be honest with you, because I hear that a lot, and I have to explain it a lot, to be fair. Next question. Les Daniels from Wickford in Essex. Hooray! Wickford, that's where we used to come from. I have a Canon 100D, which is a crop sensor camera. I'm not sure if that is the right terminology. Yes, that's the right terminology. I have just purchased the Canon EF 1.4 lens. I think you mean the 50mm f1.4 lens, which is an absolutely blinding lens. What are the pros and cons of not having a full frame camera with the lens? I have other lenses that are EF and EFSs, which I know won't fit on a full frame, blah, blah, blah. So basically what he's saying is, so for people that haven't got Canons, you have EF lenses, and they fit on all Canons, the crop sensor ones and the full frame ones, and then you have EFS lenses, which only fit on the crop sensor type cameras, okay? They won't go on the full frame ones. And I think what you're saying, Les, is what's the benefits of buying the EFS lenses or the EF lenses? Well, the only difference is the visual effect of your focal length, right? So if you, that 50mm on your crop sensor is equivalent to, what is it? Hang on a minute. Yeah, about 80mm. So the 50mm on the crop sensor is equivalent to around about 80mm. Yeah, it is 80mm, 85mm on a crop sensor camera. That's basically it, really. Lots of people talk about, oh, you need a specific EFS lenses for. No, you don't. All right, don't worry about it. It's absolutely minimal difference, and what you've actually got there is probably one of Canon's best lenses for the price range, and you know, it's a blinding lens. So basically the answer is the only difference with putting that EF lens on your crop sensor camera and putting it on a full frame camera is the visual effect of the focal range, okay? If you took it off your crop sensor camera and put it on a full frame camera, it would be a little bit wider. Take it off the full frame, put it on yours, it zoomed in a bit more. If you want to, let's go over, let's show people some stuff here. If you want to learn a bit more about that, here we go. Right, this is a blog on my website. Just type in camera sensor size comparison on the website, and you get this. There's a video that compares it. There is all sorts of graphics and words, and there you go. That's a full frame, and that one there is an APS-C or crop sensor camera. And there you go, right? So all of these have been taken at 35mm focal length. That's on a full frame, and that's on a crop sensor. So this one is cropped in, okay? It really is as simple as that. Let's close that so you can see. This one is cropped in more. That's it. That's why it's called a crop sensor, because it crops into your image. There you go. All right. That was easy enough, I think. Let's go back to me. And let's have a drop of drink. Da, da, da. What's coming through here? Ah, Harry, yes, that thanks me. Yeah, no worries, mate. I'm more than welcome to answer your question. You're more than welcome, I mean. Da, da, da. Used to do my own black and white and dodge and burn. And now I just use DPP4. I'm trying to figure out what that actually is. Probably a program that I don't know about, but there you go. Well, I can't figure it out. But well done. I used to dodge and burn a lot as well. A lot of conversations going on between you guys as well. But feel free, don't worry about it. It's just I'm trying to read. I'm trying to do it all at once here. Okay, that was from Les. Christiana Reinberger from France. Hi, Mark. I'm following your Lightroom classes. Well, thank you for that. I hope you are enjoying them. I'm still having a problem with highlights and the whites slider. What to use first, all right? And I'm not really understanding the difference. Could you give some help, please? Love your courses, and I'm proud to be a member of TSOP. Well, thank you very much. We're proud to have you as well, especially people from different countries like France. I hope you're doing well out in France, you know, and still drinking your wine and eating your pain au chocolat. See, that's the only French that I know. Right, Christine, let's go into Lightroom, shall we? And let's have a look at this. Let's go over there and let's go into Lightroom. Let's go into the develop module, and I don't know what picture to choose, as a matter of fact. Let's choose this one. I took this one the other day. I was quite pleased with it, to be fair. Now, so the question basically is whites and the highlights, right? Now, you'll be surprised to know that it's actually simpler than you think. You know, the white slider affects the whites in the image, right? And the highlight slider affects the highlights in the image. And they're very close together. Whites will be in your highlights, okay? So whites will be in your highlights, but when you change the whites, it's only really going to change the whites. So let's see what happens if I go like that. Okay, look. So any white that's in this image is now being spread out and, you know, boosted. Not the effect that you want, okay? Let's undo that. Highlights will take the highlights up much more softly. You see what I mean? So it's targeting the highlights of the image. And if you can see, let's just show you, right? Watch this area here. So this would be a shadow, wouldn't it? This area here would be a dark part. And then you've got highlights in the leaves, maybe in the bird here. And if I go like that and slide them up, you can see that it is just affecting the highlights of the image and not this bit over here. All right, so let's go back to around about here, and I'll do the same thing again now with the whites. As I slide the whites up, you can see it's affecting like the whole of the picture, okay? And that's because within colors there's going to be some white in some colors, and that's what it's doing. It's just spreading them out, okay? So the simple answer to your question is use highlights and shadows to enhance kind of like the whole scene, sections of that scene. So the highlights of the scene and the shadows of the scene. Use whites and blacks for contrast, okay? It's a bit like having an S-curve, which if you've done the Lightroom course, you will know what I mean by an S-curve. So the blacks and the whites, whoops, not that much. So if I go like that with the blacks and the whites, I mean, look at the contrast that I've just given that image, okay? Because I've boosted the blacks and boosted the whites. Whereas if I did that, I'm going to reset that and reset that. If I did that with the shadows and the highlights, it doesn't do anything of the sort. It's a much more softer effect. All right? So highlights and shadows, global edits, softer kind of edits. Whites and blacks, contrast. If you need to boost a picture, you need to give it a bit of oomph, it's the whites and the blacks that you go for. Or of course you can add a curve, you know, I'll do that as well. Or of course you can do a mixture of both. It's whatever your personal taste is. All right, I am going to go down into my history, go back to there because I don't want to lose my last edit. Now I hope that has answered your question, Christiana. I'm going to go back to camera here. And yeah, sometimes people overthink things. You know, I've done it in the past. You overthink, what's the difference between a white and a highlight? You know, it's sort of the writing's on the wall. It's more simpler than you think. Right. Hope that's answered your question, Christiana. I know that you are in the house because I've seen your name pop up here somewhere. But there you go. Right. Pat Baggett. We've got here Pat Baggett. I am from Devon. Oh, that's a lovely part of the world, isn't it? Oh, I'd like to go to there. I'd like to go and have a week down there, I'll tell you that much. I am just beginning photography and I have a basic Canon camera. I have a kit lens and a telephoto lens that came as a package. My question is, as you move through photography and upgrade kit, what do you look for and what's the difference between, say, my 400 kit and my and say a £1,600 camera body? All right, now I seriously urge you to let's go over to here. I seriously urge you to come and watch this video here. All right, wonder if it pops up or not. Type in 150 here in the there it is. If you type in 150 in the search bar, £3,800 versus £150. Is it worth it? In-depth review. Okay, so there we go. There's a video where I actually take the shots, and here is the difference between the two shots. Obviously, you're looking at it at screen via a live stream and blah blah blah. I know that, but here is the differences between the two shots here. £3,800 worth of camera, £150 worth of camera. 3,800. £150, and again and again and again. All right, now you get the point I'm trying to make here. If you know what you're doing with a camera, it doesn't matter what one that you've got. So firstly, my answer to you is don't start spending a bloody fortune. Pat is also on my course, I believe. Yes, you are. I've seen your name. I know that you are one of our customers. Pat, I'm going to just come back to camera here. So yeah, firstly, don't start spending a fortune until you can get that quality with the camera that you've got. All right, because it's more about knowledge. What you do get now, and people are probably screaming at the screens, yeah, but you've got you know, a £3,000 camera and blah 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 blah. Yes, I have, right? There is the toy element, yeah, boys and toys, and the new camera and that. There is definitely that element, 100%. Okay, but this is really what it breaks down to. Okay, my camera, like, so I've got so just if we stick to Canon, I've got the 5D Mark IV, right? I could grab that, go like that, let it drop on the floor. Never I would do that ever in a million years, and it would probably survive, and I'd be able to pick it up and carry on working with it. Okay, so there's the build quality of it. There's also the weather proofing. Now when it comes to weather proofing, I do think that people go a bit nuts over it, right? Because that 1200D, if you're in the rain and it rained on it, nothing's gonna, that's it really. But basically if you're out on a job and it starts to rain, or the air gets moist, or whatever happens, or you might be in snow or something like that, and I have been in them situations, you know, you've got faith in that camera. You've got faith that it's not going to let you down on that job, right? So there is that build quality. They're easier to use, believe it or not. The more expensive cameras are easier to use. All the settings are there to hand. You can work them very quickly, and they're a lot easier to use. They normally come with more pixels, bigger sensors, or even if it's some crop sensor, they have more pixels. They normally come with better features for certain things. So filming is one thing at the minute. I think cameras are kind of plateaued across the board. All brands are doing the same thing, and they all do really good stuff. Yeah, Nikon, Olympus, Fuji, Canon. You can use any one of them for photography and get decent shots. And you can use any one of them in any price range. You know, the low-end Canons, they're great. Like we've had a few people on here now. But then there are features in the filming section that are different on each camera, and they really do make a difference. So there's this new thing called IBIS, yeah, in-body image stabilizer. It's been around for years, right? But people are going nuts over it on the internet, right? The lenses have had it for years, and it's basically, it stables the shot. So if you're hand holding and wobbly a little bit, it corrects your wobble. It's really clever. It just corrects your wobble, and most lenses have had that anyway. Well, now they get them in body. For shooting, they say it makes a loads of difference, 6 stops difference and this, that and the other. I've not seen it. I've shot with IBIS and without it and this, that and the other. As long as you've got it on the lens, it seems to be quite adequate. For filming, on the other hand, that feature is absolutely brilliant. You can hand hold a camera and move it in these lovely smooth motions which look very professional, and you would never been able to do that before without this IBIS function. So you'll get them types of features on higher end cameras. All right, what else would you get? Other people put some stuff in for me, if you don't mind. Like, what else do you get with expensive cameras? It is the build quality mainly. Ease of use for me, it's the build, it's that sort of safety aspect. The fact that I know that it's going to last. I've had my Mark IV for years, and I know it will last me another 5 years plus. Do you know what I mean? So there's that as well. Yeah, I think that might have answered your question. I hope it has. Something will come into my head a bit later on. So there is some other features that you might get with more expensive cameras, but for argument's sake, that's it. Make sure you can do good shots on your camera first. Get a new lens. We've said it already in this video. Get a new lens first, a prime lens with a wide angle, a wide aperture, and yeah, that's what's going to help you out first of all. Right, they are just trying to sell you the megapixels. Here we go. Tender Heart. If that's your real name, I think you should be a pop star or something like that, right? Tender Heart. He or she says, they are just trying to sell you the megapixels. Even when you buy the camera, you still have to gain the experience and the knowledge of knowing the camera. 1/8 megapixel, 1/8, I think more megapixel can do the same justice. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, definitely. Oh, autofocus. Yes, Christoph has put the autofocus tracking is better on higher end cameras, but again, that's filming. I mean, with them little bird photography and all of this, which they say, oh, it's great for tracking. It's an absolute nightmare. You still have it on center point. So I borrowed the Fuji stuff. They sent me all this stuff, and so I'd ordered probably the most expensive stuff that you could get. And I still put it on center point focusing, okay, because all the tracking that it had on it was just a mission to try and it just kept moving itself. It weren't doing what I wanted it to do. But for filming, the autofocus tracking on higher end cameras is absolutely brilliant. Right, I'm moving on from that. Thanks for everyone else for chipping in there and giving your thoughts. The next person we're going to talk. The next question is from John Brown from Portsmouth in the UK, right? I like this question, right? I do like this question a lot. It says, I'm struggling to shoot an image that has been shot to death, right? I wonder if John Brown is in the house. If you're in the house, say hi, John. Yeah, I'm struggling to shoot an image that hasn't been shot to death. I'm into wildlife, sports and aviation. Basically, if it moves, I'll shoot it. When I get an idea, I Google it to find out that thousands of images of the same thing is already there. Any suggestions would be most welcome. Cheers, mate. Loving the show. Right, John. First tip. Don't look at Google. Right? So, because then you can be totally independent. Okay, you've got this idea. Go and do the bloody idea before you look at Google, okay? The next thing is, it's very easy to be influenced, isn't it? So when you think of an idea and you Google it, that image, you're going to see an image and you're going to go, God, that's a good image. And that's going to be in your mind. Then when you go out shooting, you're going to try and recreate that image. Just subconsciously, really. So firstly, don't look at Google, but really the point here is that all shots have been, not all shots, but most shots have been done to death, particularly when you are starting out in photography. And there's nothing wrong with it, right? This is how we learn. I wouldn't worry about it at all, really. You know, the where it's wrong is if someone goes out and does a shot that they've seen somewhere and then tried to pass it off as their own. Oh, look at me, I'm so good, I've done it. That's where it's wrong. If someone just goes like, oh yeah, I saw this shot on the internet, I went out and tried to do it, and look at this result. But what's wrong with that? There's nothing, absolutely nothing wrong with that. And so my next point is, don't worry about it. If it's been shot to death, who cares, man? I took a shot the other day. I don't know when this video is being posted. There's a video being posted on, do you know what? Give me a minute here. Actually, I'm going to try and find it. I posted it on my Instagram account, which is at Mark Newton. And just sorry. Because I want to make a point, right? I just want to make a bloody point here. Here we go. Continue as Mark Newton. Not now, lots of weird stuff is happening. Now I need to go to my account. Here we go. Right, I'm coming onto the screen now. Here we go. Right. So that's, if you do want to follow me, this is not the School of Photography, this is my personal work. You can come to there. And we've got two shots here, as a matter of fact. This was the one I was talking about, right? So you can see that, can't you? Yeah. This is a place called Dovercourt in Essex, right? Essex people who are in this group, put it in the comments now, right? 100% they know this place because it has been shot to death, okay? These shots have been shot to death, long exposure shots, and this is a lighthouse here out into the sea, and you wait for the tide to come in, you do a long exposure shot, and you get this picture, right? And I did a video, I went down there and did a video. And in the video, I clearly say it is a hot spot for photography in Essex. And so the point I'm making is, it doesn't matter. Don't worry about it. You know, just get out. I've wanted to get this shot for ages. And I wanted to go on a particular day and everything. And we absolutely nailed it on this day. We nailed it. We got there. It was grey. It was horrible. The tide came in at the right time. And we got that shot. And I know that shot and lots of variations of that shot has been taken a million times, right? The Essex people on here will probably back me up and say it there, right? But don't worry about it. And there's another shot here. Okay. That's the Millennium Bridge up in London. Okay. Now, I went underneath it. I found this bit of metal underneath it. I've never seen this shot before ever, all right? But I bet you any money, if you type it in to, this is London, you know, the most populated city in Europe. If you type that in, that picture would come up, or something very, very similar to it. Now, I've never seen it, but I just know that it will be there because it's a popular place to take photos, right? So it's not about the place, it's about what you do with the place, okay? And I never Googled the Millennium Bridge night photography before I went to take this shot, for the very same reason that I told you here, because it will influence what you do. So I went down there, the tide went out, I went down and tried to find little bits and pieces, found this bit of metal, framed it up, lovely. So what we've got here is lovely foreground interest, leading lines coming from the corner of the picture leading into St Paul's there. So, you know, all of your skill is in this shot. Whether someone else has got a very similar shot, you know, they probably have. I've never seen it, but I bet if I googled it, you'd probably find it. All right, but anyway, that's the point I'm making. I'd love to know anyone else's views on that. And yeah, there you go, John. Don't look. I've bullet pointed it here. Don't look at Google. It's easy to be influenced, and don't care anyway. Right, don't care anyway. If it's been shot to death, so what? Right, we're in a populated world. That's what happens. Let's come back to me. Mick Bellman from John Blowers. He's been there. He has been there as well. I've done a few of the Millennium Bridge as well. Yeah, of course, everyone has. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, brilliant. Okay. Mick Bellman from Kent. Hello, Mark. I wonder if you can help me. This is a good question, actually, and I wanted to bring this out to the group. I wonder if you can help me. I'm a disabled photographer, and I have signed up with the disabled photography group, but found out they're not really helpful. I have a Canon 5D Mark IV. Would you know any other groups or even shops who deal with adapters to help people like me in a wheelchair? Thanks for looking, Mick Bellman. P.S. I'm a member of your online photography course. Well done, Mick. Thanks for that. Now, I'm going to be totally honest with you here, Mick. I don't know of any company that does do adapters for cameras for people in wheelchairs. All right. So what I thought was I would ask this question here now publicly, and hopefully someone might know somewhere. And if you do, anyone in this group that knows somewhere that does adapters for wheelchair users, I'm assuming like to put a tripod on and things like that. Brilliant idea, as a matter of fact. There you go, someone's on there. You can be onto that. You can make it, Mick. You might earn your first. Well, I don't know if you might be a millionaire anyway, but if you're not, you might earn your first million from it. Okay. No, but it's on a serious note. If anyone can help Mick out, please put it in the comments there. I'm sure that would be great. Right, next one is from Sue Gilmore, and she's from Sudbury in England here. Please could you explain second shutter flash, also known as second curtain sync flash? When would you use first curtain sync flash? And your Q&A broadcasts are excellent. Thank you, Sue. I appreciate that. Right, let's explain this. So, first curtain, second curtain sync flash, all right, is this. When you take a picture, your shutter, your curtains, that's what they are. That's your first curtain, that's your second curtain, okay? It goes like this. One lifts, you take the shot, and then it closes up like that, okay? And that's how you get a picture, okay? Push, take the shot, close. That's your shutter speed. So the second and first curtain flash sync is mainly for longer exposures when using a flash, okay? And basically when it says it's a first curtain sync, what that means is it's the very first moment your whole shutter is open. So it'll open like that, the flash will go off, and then it will close whatever time your shutter speed is. So you can have, let's just say you can have a half a second shutter speed, okay? So it will open up like that, flash, wait for the rest of the half a second, close up. Now what that does is that gives you the freezing motion, because the burst of flash will freeze the effect. That will give that freezing motion at the start of the exposure. If you change it to rear curtain sync, it will burst the flash off at the end. So it will open up, wait, burst the flash off, and then shut, okay? So you'll get that freezing motion at the end of your exposure. I've got over here an example of where is it? There it is there. Of this type of photography here. There's a whole video on it there, slow sync flash photography. I haven't got the images bigger there, that's the only image there, right? So this is a first curtain. So first curtain flash sync is default. That's what most cameras are on, okay? So the flash has gone off here. I think that this was a 15th of a second exposure, all right? So the camera is moving like you know, like panning. The camera's moving like that. The flash goes off and it freezes the action of the mountain bike there like that, okay? And in the background everything else blurs, and that's why you would use slow sync flash. You know, you get that movement and freeze of a person in one shot, okay? So that's really it, really. First and second curtain is when the flash goes off at the start or the end of the exposure, and you can set that on your camera. That's that. Let's go back to camera. We have got a lovely question here from Rory Hennessy in France. Rory he owns the Hennessy brandy factory out in France, and he still hasn't sent me a bottle of brandy. And I've answered a few of his questions now. So this might be the last time I answer your question until I get that bottle of brandy through my door. All right. Okay. Where do you see the School of Photography in 5 years' time? Hey, this is like an interview question. I like it. That's why I thought I'd answer it. Well, Riley, we're doing all right. You know, we've had this crap period of time, haven't we? Lots of businesses have gone under. Lots of people have lost their jobs, and we haven't. You know, we took a knock at the start. We did take a knock at the start, and then it picked up again, and we've survived. All right. We're now in the second wave as a business. Anyone who's got a business is now experiencing the second wave, not the virus second wave, the second wave of not earning money, to put it absolutely bluntly. Because what's happening now is people are coming off of the furlough scheme in the UK. I'm not sure what's happening across the rest of the world. But in the UK, the government's been paying everyone's wages, and now they're stopping it. They're coming off the furlough scheme. The firm who they work for has got no work, and then they're being laid off. Okay, so people are losing their jobs over here like you wouldn't believe. In the office block where we are, 4 businesses have gone out, 4 units have gone. This is serious stuff, right? This is happening. We survived, and I absolutely thank my lucky stars for that. And you guys, you know, the members of TSOP, YouTube don't earn any money, guys, right? It's you that come and learn from me properly. That's where we get our money from, right? And I thank you for sticking with us and, you know, through these tough times. So we've survived. Hopefully we'll get through the second wave. I'm sure we will. I've got no reason to believe why we wouldn't, because business has been increasing steadily, so we should be all right. In the future, in 5 years' time, I can only imagine it getting bigger and better. You know, everything is growing. Our members base is growing. Our YouTube channel is growing. Facebook is growing. Everything is growing, right? So there's no reason to believe that we are not going to keep going forwards. Of course we are, right? Now, what we've got planned for the future is, you know, more advanced landscape. So courses, maybe like a fine art landscape course, compositing courses, a macro photography course, wildlife photography courses, you know, lots of different courses where we actually get specialists in and we work with them and make a course on a real specific genre of photography. The business of photography as well, that's one that people always ask me for, so we're going to do a course on that as well. Now, these courses do not just quickly get put together. They take about 6 months minimum to create a course. So in 5 years' time, we should have, in theory, 10 more courses of a more advanced nature, more specialist nature, to offer our members. So that's where I see us in 5 years' time, Rory, with a much bigger member base, with a much broader range of skills to offer people. Like, what I mean by that is a much more like specific genres. Let's break. So people like to do macro photography, or they like to do wildlife photography. So let's get right into that. Let's get a real specialist in, and let's see how they work. And then we couple that up with our knowledge of cameras and apertures and shutter speeds and how to teach, because that is what sets us apart from everyone else out there. You know, we teach and we make you retain knowledge. Other people show you stuff, all right? And there is a major difference. I've not done degrees and postgrad degrees in education for nothing, you know. It comes out in the courses. So that's where I see us in 5 years' time. Yeah, that's my vision. I also see me having a body like, you know, Jean-Claude Van Damme, you know what I mean? And maybe a nice jawline and things like that. No, I'm only joking. I could probably see my body going in the opposite direction, which happens as you get older. Anyway, Rory, that's where I see the School of Photography in 5 years' time. Short term, I'm still waiting for my bottle of brandy. Come on. It's been weeks now, all right? The lockdown's no excuse now. People are sending things, okay? All right. Right, do you know what? That's the questions all answered. I've now got some time to look through what's going on in here. It looks like there's some people been having their own chats here, which is great. I haven't got the time to read through it now. I'll have a look through later on, but I hope that you've helped each other out, because you know this is what these groups are for. Barry Stott here. He says, Mark, Amazon have a wheelchair mount called the ANSEL wheelchair camera mount, similar setup to a tripod mount. Well, there you go. That was for Mick Bellum. So Mick, there you go, Mick. All right, Amazon is your answer for that one. Thanks, Barry. Appreciate that a lot. Being shot a million times. Oh, hang on. Alansky Dom. What the hell? Is that an actual name? I don't know. Anyway, there you go. AQ subject may have been shot a million times, but only you can do your interpretation. Yes, I get what you're saying there. That's right. A scene, like this was just whose question was that earlier on? John Brown's question earlier on about a place being shot a million times. He's right. You know, Alansky is absolutely right. It's your interpretation of that theme, which comes down to this, doesn't it? This is, you know, it's exactly what we were saying earlier over here. That's my interpretation of being underneath the Manelian Bridge. I loved it, to be honest with you. I had a great time taking these pictures, and to be honest with you, if I saw another picture that was exactly the same or similar, in my mind I would know that I never copied it, because I've never seen it before, and I wouldn't care anyway, because I had a great time taking it, and it was a really good shot. And actually, that's not the best shot of the night. I took another shot on the other side, which I absolutely nailed. I'm going to do a YouTube video. I'm going to call it "When You Nailed It." Right? When you've nailed it, I'm going to call it. And it's the other side of the bridge on this very night. And I'll leave that one with you. You'll have to hang around for that one. That's going to be a good video. Tim Hughes on the same subjects, just saying try and think outside the box. And Tiny Tim saying he's been and shot the low lighthouse in Dovercourt. So here you go. So he shot it as well. Loads of people around here have took that shot at Dovercourt. Right, it is now 7:02 on my computer. So that's an hour. I think we've had a fantastic time. I think we're going to end it there. I hope to be back. I need to kind of, this is going to be honest with you, I need to sort of establish whether these are worthwhile to continue to do, because obviously people are now coming off of lockdown. No one's sitting at home bored and learning and all of that kind of stuff. And so I've just looked at a comment there from Rory. He sent it to the School of Photography London. I can't understand why it doesn't arrive. Right, well, we're not in London, Rory. We're in Essex. If you went onto our website, our address is on the website. All right, so I think you're lying to me. There probably is a School of Photography in London, you know, but it's not us. If there is one in London, they're probably getting drunk on my bloody brandy. All right. No. Anyway, where was it? Yeah, because everyone's coming out of lockdown now, and do we still do these or not? I'm not sure. You need to let me know. Okay, so let me know. Let me know in these comments. Come over to the schoolofphotography.com. If you're not on our mailing list, right? Come over to the schoolofphotography.com, scroll down and fill out this form. You will get all our freebies that we send out. Okay, we send out lots of free tutorials to people. You'll get the Q&A sent out to you. Lots of free guides and all of that kind of stuff. All right. Of course, we will send you a couple of adverts in the process, but you know, we're a business and that's what we have to do to survive. Okay, you don't have to buy anything. Come over and see us and just sign up. That's all we ask for. All right. There you go, guys. That is it. These comments are coming through, and lots of people saying keep it going. Okay, good. David said, Mark, I'll swing by with the bottle next week. Okay. Right, listen, I'm going to go, guys, because I've got a nice bit of chocolate cake waiting for me indoors. I definitely have, and I'm going to eat that. See you later. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'll see you next time, and remember, learn more at the School of Photography. See you later, guys.